For the last two nights of this road trip, the Jazz had played really, really well in second halves after not very good first halves. Tonight they flipped the script. They were about as good as you could imagine the first half, and then they got spurred from behind in the second half and lost a 20-point lead and lost it to the Spurs 126-118. We're talking about it next on POSTCAST.
You are Locked On Jazz, your daily podcast on the Utah Jazz. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Well, the Utah Jazz fall to the Spurs tonight when the Spurs outscore the Jazz in the fourth quarter tonight by the final score of 41-29. They outscore the Jazz 75-51 in the second half. A tough loss for the Jazz, who I think really wanted one on this road trip if they could get it. Just kind of that confidence. And as much as this season is about development and the season is about guys trying to improve and the team, and they've done those things, you need some good moments to keep you going. And a 4-game losing streak now for the Jazz is not the one. And this one kind of felt like you had a chance. No Victor Wembanyama, no Devin Vassell, no Jeremy Shohan for the Spurs, and you come out and you play the first half about as well as you can. You lead by 15 at the end of one after playing with the urgency and the aggressiveness that Will Hardy had asked for after they didn't do that in the 2 games in L.A. in the first quarter. You lead by 16 at the half. You led by as many as 20, and you just kind of – I could feel it. The first 4 or 5 minutes of that third quarter, they outplayed the Jazz. I literally said to you during a break, it's going to be a 4-point game by the time we hit the fourth quarter. You could feel this one coming.
Well, it's amazing. Well, you get a young team like the Jazz have, and you can't put together 48 minutes. I mean, that was a beautiful first half. I mean, the ball was popping. They were knocking down uncontested three-point shots, and they made some three-point shots with a hand in their face. And you did say that I don't know if this three-point barrage can last. And obviously it didn't. The third quarter was really, really bad for the Jazz.
Jazz were 11 of 28 from 3 in the first half. They were 0 for 5 in the second quarter, and in the third quarter, and then they finished 13 for 45. So they ended up being 2 for 17 from 3 for the entire second half of this game, and that obviously hurt them. They are shorthanded. No Jordan Clarkson tonight. Kyle Filipowski gets hurt, and the Jazz closed tonight with Isaiah Collier playing point guard. The other one is the Jazz had such a good game with turnovers to start the night. They only had 3 in the first half. Then they had 7 in the third quarter, and then they had another 4 in the fourth quarter tonight. But they really did a pretty decent job, like in a lot of ways. And then it was interesting to watch. Isaiah Collier closed the game tonight for the Jazz as the point guard. We had not seen him do that. That was the first time. And I joked on our post-game show that it was Isaiah Collier closing the game for the Jazz in his first ever time as a point guard, and it was Chris Paul 1300th. And that was evident because Chris Paul was brilliant late.
Yeah, you can see the experience that Chris Paul was using on him. Collier ended with 5 turnovers, for the game. That inexperience going against an experienced point guard in closing minutes and in a very important 4 or 5 minutes of the fourth quarter was huge, and hopefully he learned something from that.
Let's go back to the first half. What did they do? What was so good about the way they played the first half?
The 3-point shooting was probably the biggest thing, and then that was happening for the Jazz in that first quarter. But good execution, moving the basketball, pushing the ball up the floor, and just, you get those shots, and all of a sudden everything snowballed. We saw it with the San Antonio Spurs in that third period where they scored, 34 points in that third period, where they started to knock down some shots there as well. But I don't know. You just get to the point where you figure that can they sustain something like this? And obviously they couldn't, but 3-point shooting was definitely the case.
One of the kind of themes of Will Hardy's post-game press conferences has been there's been a lot more good basketball than bad basketball. He kind of says that a lot. I think he'll say that again tonight. I think he'll say there's a lot more good basketball than bad basketball, but the bad basketball was really loud tonight.
Yeah, it was, and then it snowballed. It just kept getting worse. They shot a ton of free throws in that third period, in the second half for the most part. And then the Jazz not knocking down 3-point shots really made the big difference. But I thought the free throws and the fact that the Jazz, what did they end up? How many fouls did they end up for? The 29 fouls. Look at that. That is putting them on the free throw line quite a bit.
You know, what's interesting about the fact that it got away from them is in the third quarter, they did a really good job of not letting it get away from them. Like the comment from Lauri the other night was like, we don't want to have these extended dark stretches. And the Jazz led by 16, and it got down to like kind of 9 almost immediately. And then they held it between 9 and 12 for most of that third quarter, which I thought was, kind of great growth. But then when the Spurs kind of hit them right at the end of the third quarter and got it to 4, you could feel how tense they were to open the fourth. If I remember correctly, in the first play of the fourth quarter, we turned it over. And then you just kind of feel they got tense, the Spurs got momentum, and then it was off. They could not find any rhythm there late.
You get a young team like this, and when you get punched in the mouth like that, I mean, can you recover? I mean, can you get your mojo back? You get the momentum back, and they did not. That did not happen for them. They were unable to get it back. They sustained it for a little bit there, but then when they let go again, it's for the most part they had dug a hole already.
Isaiah Collier finished instead of Colin Sexton late in this game. We don't know why. We'll see what Will Hardy says about it. Colin was playing point guard and was driving the basket. I don't know if it was just to give Collier the experience to have the opportunity to try to have a real point guard on the floor to get the ball out of Keontae's hands, so he wasn't responsible for it. Collier ends up with 5 turnovers. Keontae ends up with Sexton ends up with 4. Keontae ends up with 3. So none of them really good ball handlers. Frankly, the last 2 close games, Jordan Clarkson's been that guy. He wasn't available tonight. I mean, we do have a little bit of an issue right now that we do not have any type of. Colin Sexton is not a point guard in any way, shape, or form. He'll do it because he'll do what you ask, and nobody has better intentions of wanting to do the right thing. But we do not have an experienced point guard yet. Collier's inexperienced, and I'm not sure Keontae's truly a point guard. That becomes evident in some of these moments.
Well, 14 turnovers, 12 of them coming from our guards. So that's huge. Guys that need to, take care of the basketball. And you heard Will say a couple of things here in some of the coaches' meetings we've had, that a point guard needs to or should know every position on the floor. And sometimes we, with our young guards, we don't have that.
The Jazz did lose Kyle Filipowski to a sprained ankle, which didn't look great. Probably going to be a little while, plus the Walker-Kessler hip bursitis. So they got short there with big guys. Drew Eubanks ends up playing 22 minutes tonight. And then if I have my closing lineup right, we finished with Lauri as the center tonight because of being short on guys. That probably had somewhat of an impact on the night. Charles Bassey ended up with 7. They officially took one away, so he ends up with 6 block shots tonight. But that's because the Jazz just kept driving in the lane kind of without an intention of how to get out of it.
Yeah, and the guards at that point. I mean, you're charging a big guy there at the rim with and just trying to shoot over the top of him, and that's not going to work. So I would imagine 3 or 4 of those block shots came from blocking our guards trying to get to the hole.
All right. It's an interesting feeling right now. Like a bunch of guys, I mean, we were on the verge of reliability square palooza
yeah.
At the end of the first half. Like everyone had played so well and had such a really strong game. And then by the second half was just, the turnaround was so significant that it's hard to go hand out like a 12 reliability squares tonight, but like a lot of guys had some really good moments. Johnny Juzang came in, found his shot. Bryce Sensabaugh had a monster 13-point second quarter. Lauri Markkanen kind of got it going a little bit tonight. I think he ended up with 27, so that's back-to-back games where Lauri's shot numbers are back up to where they should be. You're seeing great improvement there from the Jazz. So it is a little bit of a funky night. The youngsters, well, I want to talk about that one last thing, and we're going to talk about this all year long. Ron, it's taking 24 hours for scouting reports to get out in this league now.
Yeah.
Like Kyle Filipowski was here 2 weeks ago, did a bunch of things. He couldn't do any of them tonight. The league won't let him. Isaiah Collier had one good game, and everyone's like, oh, he can't shoot, and now he has no room to do anything.
Yeah. That's what I mentioned before. I mean, the scouting system in the NBA, well, in any sport nowadays, and then not only that, they got iPads on the bench now where they can pinpoint things and you can see it and recognize what defense is doing and take it away just like that. I mean, it's amazing.
All right, who are the reliability pluses tonight? John Collins, 18 points, 14 rebounds, 3 assists, a steal and a block. I got to give him something there.
Absolutely.
+5 as well. Gosh, he used to be a plus-minus disaster. He's now positive almost every night. Lauri, 27 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists. Not just because of the play. I thought I would get a reliability square on Lauri tonight.
Yes. without a doubt. 33 minutes, and I thought he played less than that until I looked at this, because I was thinking, oh, he needs to get 33, 34 minutes of ball game, and he did get 33 tonight. So
I'm going to hold Keontae George to my Jordan Clarkson rule that you cannot get a reliability square for shooting 33%.
No, I agree with that.
Colin Sexton, I'm going to go without a reliability square because he didn't finish the game, and I'm assuming there's a reason.
Something's going on there.
Isaiah Collier, 1 of 8, 5 turnovers. Probably can't go there. Johnny Juzang.
I think Sensabaugh, probably one of his best ball games he's had in quite some time.
Okay, let's go Sensabaugh, Markkanen, Collins.
John Collins.
Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Jazz fall 126-118 to the Spurs. They go 0-4 on the road trip. We're home 3 o'clock game on Saturday. Should be a great deal of fun. Bring out the kids. Have fun. Enjoy yourself. We look forward to seeing you there. I got stickers. So if you want to come by and get a Locked On Jazz sticker, you can. Have a great night. Enjoy yourself. Thank you very much for tuning in. We greatly appreciate you.